Hey guys, this is Delphine with a Japanese lesson on the CultureQuirk channel. So today's lesson was requested by Phoenix Hawk 10, who asked what is the difference between the particles wa and ga. Not gonna lie, I was kind of dreading to answer this. Particles in general are very difficult for most Japanese learners, and we don't have anything like them in English. I'm not trying to scare you or anything, but just know that it's perfectly normal if you have a bit of a rough time with these, so just don't get too frustrated with yourself. The concept is pretty simple. Particles are just little markers that come right after a word and sort of put a label on that word. So wa is a subject marker. So here's a sentence. Watashi wa Delphine desu. I am Delphine. Watashi means I, and in the sentence I am Delphine, I is a subject, which means that in Japanese the subject would be watashi. So adding the wa after watashi is just marking it as the subject. And that's the basic principle of a particle. Now the reason why this particular lesson is so tricky is that ga is also a subject marker. So technically, depending on the situation, I could say watashi ga Delphine desu. So knowing when to use which subject marker all depends on context. So how do you know which one to use? Well, I'm hoping to clear up some questions with this video. I'll first go over the actual grammatical rules. So while both particles come right after the subject marker, wa emphasizes what comes after it in the sentence, and ga emphasizes what comes before it in the sentence. Now we'll need some examples. Kore wa pen desu. This is a pen. Kore wa enpitsu desu. This is a pencil. Here we're just identifying a couple of things. So for kore wa pen desu, the emphasis comes after the wa, so the emphasis is on pen. This is a pen. This is a pencil. Kore wa enpitsu desu. Now let's change the sentence up. Kore ga pen desu. Now the emphasis comes before the particle. The emphasis is on kore, it's on the word this. This is a pen. So instead of just identifying it, you're actually differentiating it from other stuff. Maybe someone's confused and they're like, is this a pen? Is this a pen? And you would reply, no, no, no. This is a pen and nothing else. Here's another way to say it in English that might help. Think of wa as meaning, well, I don't really know about anything else, but as for this is a pen. Whereas ga would mean this and only this is a pen. Let's go through a few more examples. Say your friend is thirsty and they want to get a drink from a vending machine, but you want to be nice and say, don't worry about it, I'll go get it. If to go is ikimasu, would you say watashi wa ikimasu or watashi ga ikimasu? Well, you want to differentiate yourself, right? You don't want anyone else to go. I will go. Emphasis on the watashi. Watashi ga ikimasu. Different example. Say you and your friend are at an amusement park and you're on a ride and you're having a lot of fun. Fun is tanoshii, so you might say kore wa tanoshii desu. This is fun. Now if you had said kore ga tanoshii desu, then that would be implying that you didn't think any of the other rides were fun, which isn't what you meant. You're not saying this and nothing else is fun. You're just identifying something as being fun, and so the emphasis is on fun. Kore wa tanoshii desu. I hope it's starting to really make sense for you. I think that knowing the grammatical concept can't really hurt. In fact, I hope it really helps. But unfortunately, knowing how it works technically might not be enough. You're going to need a ton of examples to really understand when to use wa and when to use ga. I still have a lot of trouble with it. Even native speakers make the mistake sometimes. I mean, when you're talking in a lot of situations, you don't really have time to start thinking about where you should be putting the emphasis in the sentence. Here's one last example to show you how this can get a little bit more complicated. Sometimes both wa and ga can be in the same sentence. So the example, watashi wa pen ga hoshii desu. Hoshii is actually an adjective, but it means to want something. So the sentence means I want a pen. But how do the wa and ga fit in? Well, with those emphasis cues that we used earlier, the implications here are, well, I don't know about anyone else, but as for me, I want a pen and nothing else. A bit odd, but it does make some sense. So even though there are essentially two subjects in this sentence, it still fits our grammatical rules. But it's examples like this that just goes to show that it can get a little bit more tricky. So try not to get too frustrated when you see these particles in the future. It's perfectly normal to find wa and ga a little bit confusing, and I promise that it will make more sense over time. So there you have it. I hope that does shed some light on things, and now you know the basics. What I recommend from here on out is for you to look at as many sentences as possible that include wa and ga. Now that you know the grammatical rules, you can take those sentences apart and start creating shortcuts in your mind so that you can use them more naturally. Instead of thinking about the grammatical rules while you talk, you'll have these standard sentences in your head to pick from that'll make speaking a lot easier. Phoenix Hawk 10, thanks for your question. I hope this video helps. If you guys have any questions about this lesson, please leave a comment and I'll do my best to answer. And feel free to leave more requests for future lessons. Thank you guys for watching, see you next week, and happy learning!